As disc golf continues to grow, companies are having to get more and more creative with their design to stand out against the competition. But does the Luftdisk's neon take it a step too far? We'll find out, because the disc is in the details. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs. If you're enjoying our Disc is in the Details series, consider supporting us on Patreon or by picking up one of these sweet Disc is in the Details custom stamps from ThoughtSpace Athletics. You can find them all at sixsideddiscs.com. Before we look at how the neon flies, we need to understand how this disc came to be and where it draws influence from. A few months ago, we explored Luftdiscs for the first time. Luft hails from Denmark and launched their first two discs, the Hydrogen, a 1-speed super straight putter, and the Boreum, a 14-speed driver, via the crowdfunding site Kickstarter, receiving over 4,000% of their initial funding goal. Because of the success of that initial Kickstarter launch, they were able to do a traditional stock release of their next two discs, the Silicon, an overstable mid-range, and the Xenon, an overstable fairway driver. Now though, Luftdiscs is back with another Kickstarter, and as of the time of this recording, the Kickstarter campaign has finished and exceeded its funding goal nearly 10 times over. This campaign is launching two discs, the Titanium, a 7.5 -2-1 straight to understable fairway driver, and the Neon, their first approach disc. The Neon is rated at 3.103, and almost immediately you'll notice why it's rated with one glide. While some approach discs like the Discraft Zone sometimes come out with a little puddle top, it isn't nearly as much as the intentional puddle top of the Neon's design. In fact, Luftdiscs doesn't call this puddle-topped. They call it a reverse dome. In fact, it's a reverse pop-top dome. But why the reverse dome? If Luft could pull this off, why wasn't it done before? Is it more than just a gimmick to attract attention? Well, first, Luft says that they designed the Neon with a high parting line and the reverse dome to intentionally increase overstability and reduce glide. This combination is what gives it both incredible torque resistance and excellent accuracy. When we test most discs here at Six Sided Discs, it only takes a couple throws to really understand the flight characteristics of a disc. But the Neon was a little bit different. The reverse dome design creates a disc that flies differently depending on the angle that you release it. For example, whether on forehand or backhand, if you release the Neon on hyzer, it is exactly as overstable as you might expect. You can see the disc fading aggressively, especially when thrown at high speeds. And thrown flat, there isn't really a huge difference. It again almost immediately fades aggressively. However, if you put it on anhyzer, the Neon is a completely different disc. You can see the disc trying to fight out of that anhyzer angle, but it almost struggles to do so, and instead is slowing itself down so quickly that you reach a point where the disc isn't generating enough lift to keep flying, and it just falls straight to the ground. I have never seen any disc do this. I've seen straight discs gradually slow down and land. I've seen super over or understable discs just drop to the ground on edge, but the Neon is in a class of one. Sometimes in situations like this where a disc is just so unique, it helps to have a point of reference. So imagine taking the design and overstability of something like this Harp and combining it with the slow flight and drop fade of something like a Castoplast Berg. Put those together and you have the Luft Neon. Now, there are some quirks, though, that come with this new design that are maybe not entirely intentional. Because the reverse dome is so pronounced and starts right at the rim, in a backhand grip, you're almost always putting more hyzer angle on the disc than you realize. You have to make a really conscious effort to get your angle right. What you might think is a slight hyzer is actually a pretty steep hyzer. What you think feels like a normal flat release is actually a slight hyzer, and so on. Meanwhile, there are even more differences on a forehand grip. Players that prefer a two-finger grip like this may not like how shallow the reverse dome makes their index finger feel. It's actually shifting it up along their middle finger to a position that's definitely not normal. So it's safe to say that a disc like the Neon is going to divide opinion amongst players, and many may really like its uniqueness, and many probably won't. But the Castoplast Berg wasn't so different when it first came out. The Berg is slow, and the Harp is overstable, and there's plenty of options beyond and between. But the Neon may be the first disc that perfectly captures both. And while it may take some time to get used to, the Luft Neon is much more than a gimmick. In fact, it might just be the perfect utility approach disc for you. You can learn more about future stock releases at luftdiscs.com. What do you think of the Neon? Did you back the Kickstarter? Leave a comment down below. And also comment below what disc we should explore next. Remember, the disc is in the details. For Six-Sided Discs, I'm Greg. We'll see you in the next one. Sometimes in these instances when you have a disc that just is... and combining that with the slow flight... Meanwhile, on forehand, players that prefer...
Why is that flying? It's actually flying.
That's really interesting. So you actually got it to fly way more than I did.
If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or supporting us on Patreon. Your support makes this content possible.